Hey, what's up everybody? This is Likeits1985, and today we're going to take a look at Marvel Legends Iron Spider and Iron Man Mark 50. These two figures came in a 2-pack, and other than War Machine and Rescue, these are the two figures I was most anticipating for this year in terms of the Marvel Legends line. And really nice, glad to have these in my collection. So, looking at Iron Spider up close, in terms of the sculpt, really fantastic sculpt. I know I say that a lot on certain figures, but this one certainly is no exception. Now, I would like to try to point out the detail in the sculpt, just looking at the small kind of box pattern that his suit is comprised of. Really nice detail. You can see a lot of that, kind of that box pattern here. But above and beyond that, just the terms of this sculpt with the spider symbol here, this is actually a sculpt. These lines are sculpted on top of the normal body, and so it's not just a flat surface. You can see there's a lot of nice sculpt there. Of course, it's got the nice ab sculpt. Yeah, so definitely very fantastic in terms of the actual sculpt on this Iron Spider figure. So let me start off with the leg first in terms of articulation. There is a joint here at the very base of the leg. It's just a hinge there. Then you have articulation here, and finally here. There is rotation as well in that joint and that joint as well. So I do find that the way that it pegs into the back is a bit problematic. I'm not sure if it's just a different type of plastic or different hard plastic versus softer plastic, but it does tend to resist being pegged in there and staying in place. But once they're in there, they're okay. It's just that you have to be kind of careful with it, at least on my figure anyways. Moving on to the main body articulation, wide range of movement here at the neck. So very good. You'd expect to have a lot of wide range of movement for Spider-Man, so that's good to see. Shoulders, ball hinge, swivel at the bicep. Then you have a double joint here at the elbow. A very almost 180 degree bend there at the elbow. Very nice. Swivel and a hinge at the wrist. There's ab crunch, so you can go back and forward like that. And you can see the leg did fall off, so just be aware of that. So nice clicky joint there at the ab. Legs. Swivel at the thigh, double joint at the knee, a nice double joint actually. Look at that. Really wide range of articulation there at the knee, and finally you have the ankle. So hinge, and you do have a pivot here like so. Moving on to Iron Man Mark 50, you do get a lot of accessories. Starting off, you do get the alternate pair of hands. You do get a shield, which is nicely detailed and nicely sculpted both on the outside and on the inside of the shield. So really nice. So as you can see, I've got the Iron Man Mark 50 here all armored and armed up. And first off, you do get these blast effects, which are pegged into the palm of the kind of open palm hand. So moving on to the rest of the accessories for Iron Man, this is where it gets really interesting. You do have these two forearm mounted nano repulsor cannons, which are nicely detailed. You can see there, nicely sculpted. And they are separate pieces of plastic. They do come off, they just slide off of the forearm. Those are really nice, especially when you use them in combination with the blast effects, as we saw before. Now, mounted on the back here is a clear piece of plastic. You can see it's holding those 4 nano cannons, and these are actually nicely detailed. You can see there some nice sculpt, nice paint. And the actual clear plastic here pegs in the back. Now, you can peg them in like this, which I think makes more sense because the actual bits here are slightly on level with the shoulders, a little bit higher than normal. Normally, if you would reverse that around, you could take this and actually unpeg it, which is pegged in there really nicely. It does not fall out. You can peg in the whole assembly like this, and they are slightly lower. You can see there. I prefer just having them the other way around, but there's no clear instructions on what way is the correct way, but That's the way I'm going to have my figure displayed. And this piece stays in there really, really well. It's not going anywhere. So that's really nice to have that peg in very, very securely. So let's take a close look at the actual sculpt of the actual Iron Man armor itself, and then we'll take a look at articulation. So yeah, really nice head sculpt there. Take a look at the torso, the legs, and the back. Articulation for the neck. You can actually have the head look up about that far, which is decent. And then wide range of movement, of course, left and right. Down like that. Shoulders around. There's not a lot of articulation out to the side. Just you can see how the plastic is clashing there. So that's the range of articulation there at the shoulders in terms of in and out. Of course, you can go all the way around to the shoulder. Swivel at the bicep, double hinge at the elbows. So let's look at the wrist articulation, because it's different depending on whether you use this hand versus this hand. This hand is what comes packaged in the actual packaging, but this is the alternate hand. The alternate hand does have a wrist such that you can actually articulate it on a hinge joint. You can see that there. There's the hinge. Whereas with the default hand, there is no hinge there, so you're left with that, which is all you really need if you're doing a repulsor blast move, or a repulsor blast pose, that is. Then all you really need is that kind of angle. But there is no articulation on this, just so you know. There is ab articulation, as you can see there. Legs. Swivel at the thigh. Double joint at the knee, and finally hinge and a pivot at the ankle. Alright, so final thoughts on these two figures, starting off with Iron Spider. Overall, a very, very nice figure, nicely sculpted, nicely detailed. That's what I like the best about it, is just in terms of the actual very, very minute detail in terms of the sculpt on the actual figure. On my figure, at least, there is a problem with the way that the legs attach to the back of the figure. The legs do tend to come loose from the back of the figure at times, particularly when I'm moving the figure around, posing it, or whatnot. I'm sure there's ways I could fix that. Either I could permanently attach the spider legs, which actually might not be a bad idea, or at least do some adjustments so that you actually have a better connection on the back of the for the legs to attach to the back of the figure. Now moving on to the Iron Man Mark 50. But really what sold me on the figure is the fact that it has those nano cannons on the back and the nano repulsor cannons that are mounted on the forearms. And included also, of course, you get the blast effects, which is nice as well, particularly for the Iron Man figure. Alright, well, thanks for watching. This has been my review of the 2-pack of Iron Spider and Iron Man Mark 50.